I was getting 180 new patients per month, and I had
Normandy.
Yeah, when I first moved in there, it was crazy, amazing concept. Getting paid for something multiple times, though you only had to do the work once, not every single time. The bigger you get, the bigger your bills. You know, it's amazing because the problem that we have, particularly at Normandy, is that we have too many patients.
Hey everybody, my name is Tiger. You remember that? So today is going to be a very interesting episode. Dr. Lee is one of our clients. You guys came in about 2 months ago. We were super pumped from the beginning to start working with you. This show is not necessarily for clients or non-clients, but out of all of our clients, I love all of them, but some have certain like business acumen, have a certain business skill and things like that. And like every time, as soon as actually I saw the email that you sent, it had 2 pictures of Normandy Dentistry and then Lakewood Dentistry, the buildings and this kind of stuff. Like you've got the marketing component. And I also, when I asked you the question earlier today, I was like, are you by yourself? Like, how do you do this? And you're like, yeah, like, you know, like, as far as like ownership, right? Like you don't have somebody that's like 50-50 partner with you on a paper.
No.
Right. So these things are really interesting. Like how do you pull it off? So if you don't mind, I want to quickly start. I know we don't have that much time. We were talking primarily about Zen supplies. Took a lot of time on that, but like, I want to take some time to speak about you and talk and learn. So if you can start with like, why even dentistry?
Okay. Well,
We'll share this.
So, you know, I graduated from Emory, and you know, at that point, I had actually started dating my wife, and we were pretty serious. And so, she was headed off to down to was it University of Florida, and at that time, I had been pre-med most of the time, and then I just wasn't really into the whole medical thing. It's like, you know, long hours and lifestyle wasn't as good as I wanted it. And then I just came across a friend whose father was a dentist, and he said, oh yeah, he works 4 days a week. And I was like, okay, sign me up. Yeah. So it was mostly just out of lifestyle. The lifestyle seemed great. You're still a doctor. You get to go ahead and see patients. Nothing's life-threatening. So I thought it might be a good fit there. And so I studied really hard for the DAT and was able to go ahead and get into University of Florida. And that's kind of how I just entered dentistry. Now, when I got out, I had the full intention of just being an associate. I wasn't interested in trying to... sorry about the disruption there.
We do this all the time.
I wasn't interested in owning a practice at all. So my wife got, you know, her program, she had to go ahead and do an externship, and it ended up in Miami. And so we can close the door if you like too. Sorry.
But this is real. Like your practice is literally like in the middle of adding treatment rooms and stuff.
Yeah.
So I love this. So
okay.
Like, how many treatment rooms do you have here?
Here we have 10 equipped and outfitted, and we have 10 more here that are going to get cabinets.
Not to derail, but 20 offices in the middle of our interview. There's like literally probably like 2 or 3 that you're putting in together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So they're adding more. They're adding at least. I believe they're adding 5 or additional ones. So anyway, like I said, I went to Miami and I went through many associateships. Actually, I was getting to the point where it just never worked out. Either, and it was really tough because a lot of the associateships ended up just didn't have the patient volume. I was literally like a starving dentist, and it was really quite kind of just defeating. I was at the point where I was even thinking about maybe I need to go into something different, like forensic dentistry or something like that. I was just really looking for something that I you know, and it was defeating because I've spent all this time, and you have a certain expectation getting out of dental school that it should be easier, and you should get out, and you should do well. And you're, yeah, shoot, I'm a doctor.
You made it.
I made it, but it was quite the opposite for me. It was quite a struggle in the beginning, and so after going through failed associateship after failed associateship for various reasons, and half of them were for not enough volume. The other half was just dealing with. I was in this one corporate dental place, and it was busy enough. It was all HMOs, but I loved the fact that I was doing dentistry. That was a win. But again, it's, you know, it just didn't work out in the end because the way they managed it was just very impersonal. Finally, end up in Jacksonville, end up in another practice, and the same thing happened where it was really slow. I got to the point where I only had 1 month where I couldn't pay for my mortgage that I had down in Miami. It was like we only had 1 month left, and I was at my wit's end. I was either going to have to go ahead and just kind of sell out, join a corporate place, and I was actually given an opportunity where it's like I could buy this practice. It was not that much. It wasn't a fancy practice, but the numbers looked decent, and I was like, okay, let me go ahead and give it. Actually, what it got down to is like I was asked myself, and I talked to my wife. It's like, okay, what's the worst case scenario? If we go ahead and buy this practice and we absolutely blow it, what's the worst case scenario? Well, end up living with my wife's parents,
which is like
tough
but manageable.
Yeah, it's tough but manageable. But I still had a roof over my head, and they'd feed us,
yeah.
And I could still get a job. Right? I could still go and work at one of those Aspens or what have you. And it's like, okay, let's go ahead and do it. So it just so happens I had a knack for it. So when I first bought the place, it was he saw an average of like 25 new patients per month, which was pretty decent. I mean, from what I can compare it with, and on top of that, and he was producing around 30,000 each month. I took that practice and ramped it up to over 100 new patients per month, and I mean, and this place is not on the main street. It was tucked away in a little neighborhood. It wasn't. If I look back at it now, it's like, man, what was I thinking?
Yeah.
But made it work and was able to go ahead and generate enough revenue. And I learned a lot of things on the way. I mean, case in point. Here's one lesson I learned that was like really stung. Okay. When I ramped up my production, so bear in mind, when I bought the practice, this guy, this guy, and I was like, he's old and he's retiring, and he was still putting amalgams in, and everything was backwards. His building looked like crap, and I was like, little cockiness here. I was like, let me go ahead and take this and I'll improve it. So I did that, and I ramped up production, up to like $80,000 a month versus his 30. Right?
Yeah. Impressive.
And a lot of times people, that's all they focus on is just, what revenue did you bring in? What you didn't see was the overhead. Just bring it. He had like $15,000 overhead out of $30,000 revenue. So he was taking home a cool $15,000, right? Each month. Not too bad, not too shabby. And I ramped mine up, and I was paying like $70,000, $80,000 a month, but it was like my overhead was like $70,000. So, running a business, there's a lot of lessons along the way, and that was one of them. It's like, it's very easy to go ahead and you can drive up your revenue, but if you don't manage your overhead portion, that can eat you up too. And the crazy thing is, I was working probably 5 times harder. I had 5 times as many staff and 5 times as many headaches. I had more patients going through, more liability. Everything increased, but the income didn't increase.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
This much, yeah.
Yeah, so with that was one of those tough lessons, and you work at it and then chip things away, and then you just get better and better. And fortunately, got great, did well enough where I could actually go and move into Normandy, which is the it's 6,700 square feet, 20 operatories, and well, that wasn't ground up. That I bought an existing movie rental place. Those places aren't very popular anymore. I don't know if you remember, they used to have the blockbusters.
Pre-Netflix times.
Yeah, that was pre-Netflix. So these buildings kind of that whole company went belly up, and so they had these buildings lying around. So got one of those and moved in, and I mean, I went from a 2,000 square foot 5 operatory office to the gargantuan of a building, because the vision was there. I knew what I wanted to do. And so when I first got in there, I had stopped the marketing, but the location was really, really good. And I was getting 180 new patients per month. And I had
Normandy.
Yeah, when I first moved in there, it was crazy, and a lot of it was just referrals. I mean, we had just generated such great business and people that.
I want to ask one question with this. So you're running that little office that you first purchased, right?
Uh-huh.
So you bought that office, what probably a two-sided question. From that, you looked at it and you realized that you can do bigger. You went to Normandy, right? What triggered that? And what skill, what one or two skill that you learned running that office that allowed you to go into Normandy?
Okay, great question. So, what triggered that was, well, I had seen enough where I really wanted to go ahead and make an impact in dentistry, and I knew that myself individually, the impact would be fairly limited, and so with that, I knew I needed to go ahead and grow and have more providers, and that was really what it did. I just knew that I wanted to get to the point where I didn't have to go ahead and physically do dentistry in order to go ahead and do the impact. I could go ahead and so let me get to it. This is where I learned it. A lesson that really stuck with me a while ago was the fact that learning limitations. If you understand limitations, and as an individual, I can only do so much. And there's other ways to go ahead and, I guess, be productive. One of the things I learned was syndication. If you understand syndication, it's like you can create this one video or you can create this one thing, and you get paid on it multiple times, yet you only did the work once. Amazing concept. Getting paid for something multiple times, though you only had to do the work once, not every single time. So the difference would be like, if you were to give lectures on something, and let's say you lectured around the world, but every time you did it only on a one-on-one basis, you'd have to do how many lectures in order to make only so much. But what if you made a video and you put it on a website and you charged a lot less, and people could watch that video from wherever and pay you a smaller amount? Suddenly multiply, and you only had to do that movie once. You only had to do that video once. So, learning that each person has this limitation. You only physically only have this many hours in a day. You only do that. The only way to grow was to expand. Mm-hmm. And that's the same with anything. It's like another limitation about most practices is that, for workers, if you go and work in a single office, they can't grow. They stop. I mean, you only have one office manager usually, and then after that, it's like, I'm sorry, everybody else, you can't grow until this person either retires or dies. Mm-hmm. Or retires or leaves. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of offices where the office manager's there for 20 years. A long time, yeah. So there's no growth potential for everybody else. So are you really going to be able to get the cream of the crop? No, you're going to get people that they do well, but how do we go ahead and grow a business where you get people who really want to go ahead and just advance? So all those concepts just kind of funneled into, I need something that we can expand with. Was there another part of your question?
Yeah, that's why you picked up the Normandy.
Yeah.
And then the skill that you learned is this creating syndicate, right? You said, right?
Well, yeah, I had to go to be able to multiply myself, or multiply without having to actually do every crown. Mm-hmm. I mean, right? If you could go ahead and create a crown once and sell it multiple times, it's great. Mm-hmm. But if you have to do every single crown, yeah, you're limited by the number of crowns you can do.
Here's another question. So, and that might be the last one. Okay, so the word on the street is to grow to the sizes like you are. Like Normandy is 6,700 square feet. Lakewood is similar, right? Mm-hmm. So these are you're managing almost 13,000 square feet of space, mm-hmm, right? So that's a lot of treatment rooms, a lot of people. In order to do that, people partner up, people do things like they bring associates. So my question to you is, again, twofolded. One is, how do you keep the sanity within yourself, like that you're pulling this off by yourself? And the second is, how do you attract associates, and what's the plan that you're putting in place for associates to come in, that they know what they're doing?
Still figuring all that out. I mean, as we grow, we're still trying to figure that out. And we certainly don't have any formula, perfect formula. It's just a lot of it, some of it's trial and error. You just have to go at it. And that's the tough thing. It's like, you have to have the stomach for it. I mean, despite how big it is, it's like the thing is, the bigger you get, the bigger your bills, and so it's not like, there might be some companies or some industries where overhead's very small and the ability to go ahead and keep on producing more and more is great. But dentistry is not one of those. Dentistry is an expensive business to run, and the bigger you are, the bills just kind of they run right after it. So to answer your question about how do I go ahead and manage these people? Well, some of the things that I've learned is that you really got to hire right. Your hiring process, everything's got to be, and that's an often area where it's neglected. We have to get really good at it. So any area like that, we have to get good at that, and that's the same with associates. I mean, associates, it's a little bit more of a challenge. I definitely haven't perfected getting a whole marching line of them, and it's amazing because the problem that we have, particularly at Normandy, is that we have too many patients. We just need to get great doctors that really, and this thing, not all, I hate to say this, but not all doctors really are there they want to produce. I have many that they care more about, when I want to go ahead and be able to control my schedule so that I want to leave when I want to leave. It's like, but that's not patient-centric. You can't grow a successful business because the doctor cares more about when they want to do something, what they want to do, when they want to do it, and try to just cancel the schedule and leave. That's not the intention. That's not what we're trying to do. We're trying to go ahead and deliver world-class service on the level of like the Marriott and the Ritz-Carlton, and we want to do this consistently, predictably, and reliably. We have to have great people that care about that, and so culture is one of those things that we emphasize. As far as finding people, we're still perfecting that. We want to really, if we could find like-minded people and grow leaders to go ahead and join what we're doing, then fantastic. And as far as you said, partnership. Mm-hmm. I would love a partner. That's something that I would love to have. But when I think of a partner, it's not someone that says, "Here, let me just go ahead and give you some money." And that's what happens in dental offices. It's just like a buy-in. I buy in, and suddenly I don't have to do anything different. I just had to give some cash. To me, it's like a true partner is someone who comes in, they got the cash, but they also contribute to the growth of the company in a impactful way. Not just, I'm doing a job. In fact, what they're doing is they bring in the intelligence and the ideas and the commitment to grow,
perseverance,
and that's rare because you're an entrepreneur as well. There is something about that level of commitment that you are when you're an entrepreneur. You go in there, and that a lot of times other people just don't understand that level of commitment. And they don't understand the level of risk and investment you have in it, because they think they do, but they really don't. Because at the end of the day, if the business fails, they get up and go find another job.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, if the business fails for you,
there's no
job lined up. There's not a job lined up for you. You don't go interview someplace else and get a job. So there's a big difference in that. And so a true partner would be someone who could take on that risk and really understand that risk. And so, and that kind of says, that's kind of, I didn't go partner up because you got to find that like-minded person. You got that person that really understands that component. Anyway.
Yeah. Dr. Lee, I admire what you do. I honestly do. It's incredible what you run. Is just seeing the practice. In our industry in dental, a lot of people talk the talk but don't walk the talk, right? So as soon as we came in, I see how the office is set up, right? I see how the furniture is selected, the light fixtures are along the way, how you have attention to details. Each room has its own name, like the Paris and the London and things like that, and the theme in each wall. Your commitment to like efficiency and organization, like dental supplies, exactly what we're here for, right? No doors and things like that in the tip-up bins. And I think it's really incredible to see how different mindset you have. Like there's a reason why smaller offices exist and the bigger offices exist like yours, right? Like you have a totally different commitment. Even through the communication with you when you and I talked on setting up the offices, you don't just say, hey, just go and figure out, right? Like you literally created the spreadsheet yourself. You work like probably like till 2 o'clock in the morning just putting out all the numbers, and then you send, guys, here's what I have, here's what's there. And just like seeing that totally different level of commitment and leadership that you have, even like for us as a vendor, was incredible to see.
No,
so
thank you so much.
we're super pumped to have
And
you as a client.
I'm super pumped that you guys, someone finally created a product that it's like this. I've been bugging my all the sales reps. I literally have pitched this. I pitched that idea to them. It's like, get your company to go ahead and do this and funnel all their orders through here, and think about the information you'll gain. Think about the opportunity that you might be able to go ahead and steer these people to go ahead and become more brand loyal to you because they didn't know that you had that product, or look for that product, bring it into your lineup, and offer it for a little bit less.
Mm-hmm.
And think about that. And it's like, anyway, I've pitched that idea before, and it's just I was actually, when I found your company, I was like, really, someone's got it, someone's doing it, and that's wonderful because, if someone didn't do it, I probably would eventually try to go ahead and do it myself because it just makes so much more sense to do that. It just manages everything under one portal versus having multiple vendors and logging into multiple sites and ordering here and say, did you order from there? I don't know, I don't remember. We'll log in. I mean, that's one of the reasons why Amazon became
the Amazon.
Yeah, it's like I can order everything from one place. I don't have to go say, well, I forget where I ordered from. Let me go and check my email and then try and find out, oh yeah, I ordered from this one. Now I have to remember that password and log in. And it's like,
yeah,
it just make it easier. So
yeah, awesome. So we'll be in touch.
Yep, absolutely.
And we'll do one more of these, the interview. All right, thank you guys for watching. Till next time.